Hey, Doc Jones here from the Homegrown Herbalist School of Botanical Medicine. And today we're going to talk about the way your body is trying to talk to you. So our bodies are trying to tell us things. And the way that they do that oftentimes is through cravings, right? Scientists call this pharmacognosy. What it is that we have, at times in our life, a craving for certain foods, right? Or for certain herbs or for certain things. The word pharmacognosy comes from a couple of Greek words. Pharmakeia, which means an herb or a medicine that's beneficial. And cognoscere, which means to recognize or understand something, okay? So pharmacognosy means the ability to recognize a medicine or an herb that would be beneficial, right? And animals do it too. They call it zoopharmacognosy. Well, they don't actually call it anything, but we call it that when they do it. I don't know what they call it when we do it. But anyway, it depends what species, I guess. But anyway, zoopharmacognosy, of course, is zoo means animal. So animals knowing or recognizing the medicine, okay? And we see that all the time, right? I don't know if you have a dog or if you have ever had a dog or seen a dog, and they're out in the backyard eating grass. Well, why are they doing that? They're predators. And grass isn't part of their diet. You know, it's not like they're vegetarian dogs, you know. Well, they're eating grass because they have a bellyache, right? And they know instinctively that grass will help their bellyache and that it'll also help with parasites, right? And they don't know that consciously that, oh, I've got, roundworms, I better go eat some grass. But they instinctively crave and look for the grass and eat it, okay? There's all kinds of examples in nature. And I wrote a blog article today with way more depth of this. You know, if you want to really learn some things and see some cool examples, go to the blog article at homegrownherbalist.net and just click on the blog, and there's lots of fun articles about other stuff too. But anyway, there's all kinds of examples. For example, elephants, during the time of year that there's a lot of fruit, they eat a lot of fruit and they get belly aches and they get diarrhea. So what do? They go way down to the river, they get in the riverbank and they eat the clay, the kaolin, out of the riverbank, and it fixes their bellyache. Well, what's kaolin? Well, kaolin is the same clay that's in products like kaopectate, right? When elephants are like really pregnant and really tired of being pregnant, they'll eat specific leaves off specific trees to induce labor, right? They won't go anywhere near those trees for the rest of the pregnancy. But when it's time and they're tired of it, and some of you ladies can associate with that feeling, they'll go to that tree and eat the leaves and it'll induce labor. There's another really remarkable example, is a plant called goat killer in Tanzania. There's this plant that's really toxic. Like any part of the plant, if a goat eats it, they fall over dead, right? But the chimpanzees in that area, if they get a certain parasite, it's a malarial protozoal parasite that they get. And when they get sick with that illness, they'll go way out of their normal feeding range and eat that plant. But the plant's deadly poison. If they ate the leaves, they would die. If they ate the roots, they would die. If they ate the flowers or the fruits, they would die. But they open the stem and they eat the pith of the stem of that plant, and it kills the parasite. So how did they know that? Right? Well, it wasn't trial and error, right? I mean, Bobo ate the leaves and she died, and Juju ate the stems and he died. Who wants to try the pith of the stems, right? Now, they weren't experimenting, and they certainly didn't learn it from watching the goats, right? Who died whenever they took a bite. They just knew. They just know instinctively that that's what you do. And there are countless examples in nature of animals doing that. But it's not just animals. Humans do it too. Sometimes we have cravings for things that aren't great for us. And that's another thing. But we've been hardwired, sugar and fat doesn't count medicinally, okay? But the reason we crave those things as humans is why? As well, because not too many hundreds of years ago, we were all making a living as hunter-gatherers, right? And sugars and fats are good sources of calories to keep you from starving to death. Okay. And so the hunter-gatherer that walked past the beehive and said, that looks really good, and ate the honey, lived and had kids. And the guy that didn't. Okay. And so there's natural selection, and then, the genes that made him crave honey or fats got sent along with his kids, so they would crave honey and fats, right? And so that's normal. That's hardwired into us to want sugars and fats. So don't listen to him all the time when he's talking about that kind of thing. But, I'll take that back a little bit, because look at chocolate. Why is it that people want chocolate? And why is it especially that women want chocolate, right? Women really like chocolate. And the reason is that chocolate also has some important medicinal benefits, and most of the medicinal benefits of chocolate affect serotonin levels in the brain, right? And serotonin is the chemical that makes you happy, makes you feel better, right? And in fact, I need to take back everything I said about fats and sugars too, because guess what? Fats and sugars also increase serotonin levels in the brain, which decreases stress levels, okay? So women tend to run a little lower on serotonin levels than men, and that's probably because women's brains are way more complicated and they're way more smart than we are, and they think about 10 things at once, and everything's connected in their brain, right? So they're using more serotonin. Plus, their lives are more stressful because everything's connected, right? Men have little boxes in their brain, and they're pretty simple folk. Women have this extraordinary network. I was listening to one neuroscientist once who said that the male brain, in terms of connectivity with itself, so you have in the middle of your brain a structure called the Corpus Callosum that's full of little connections that connects your left brain, that's this one, to your right brain, right? So they can talk to each other. It's almost like you have two brains. But anyway, they talk to each other through the Corpus Callosum. And women have exponentially more connections than men do. And what this neuroscientist said, he said a man's Corpus Callosum is like a walking path through a forest, and a woman's Corpus Callosum is like a six-lane freeway with 100-mile-an-hour speed limit. And so women have way more connections to things, which is important. Anyone remember what we were talking about? Oh, serotonin, right? So women use and need more serotonin to decrease stress and to help their brain do all the complicated stuff it's doing. And so they want chocolate, right? And because chocolate, real chocolate, mind you, increases serotonin levels, as do higher levels of carbohydrates and sugars, okay, and fats. All those things increase serotonin levels. And so we're craving those things. Women that are pregnant crave things, right? And, my wife, when she was pregnant with our first child, had extraordinary cravings for cinnamon rolls. Like, she was dying for cinnamon rolls all the time. And there were these little cinnamon rolls I could buy at the store. And at 10 o'clock at night, I was often driving to the store to buy a tin of the little cinnamon rolls for my wife, because she had to have some cinnamon rolls. And, well, what does that mean? Well, increased calories are good for making babies, for one thing, because you're working pretty hard doing that. But number two, cinnamon is really good for stomach aches and nausea. And she had a lot of morning sickness during that pregnancy, see? And so she was self-medicating instinctively without even knowing, why it was, why she wanted the cinnamon rolls instead of the Hostess fruit pies. You know what I mean? There's lots of examples of this in nature, in the animal kingdom, but also in humans. For example, I personally, for some reason, well, I know why, but in the spring and summer, I have a really strong craving for parsley. I can't get enough parsley. I want parsley, right? And in the fall, I could care less about parsley. All winter, I could care less about it, right? But in the spring, I want it, And so why is that? Well, parsley is a very cleansing, vitamin-rich, nutritive herb, right? And so in the winter, we're eating lots of starches and proteins, right? And in the summer, in the spring, instinctively, we're cleaning our bodies out, right? We used to do an herbal cleanse every year when we were hunter-gatherers, right? And so we still during those months of the year, have a strong craving for the greens and for the fruits, right? Because they're doing something for our body. They've done some studies where they actually find that with humans, that even herbs that don't taste very good are more palatable when the human is sick and needs that herb. Okay. And so you've got, a cold or something, and you need to be taking an herb for that. And as you're sick, you're taking it, and it tastes pretty good. It's pretty tolerable. But as they got better in this study, the herbs got less and less palatable. They didn't want them anymore, right? Well, what does that mean? Well, that means your body's telling you something, right? It's saying, look, enough, we feel better. We don't need those plant chemicals anymore, right? And so, anyway, it's just really interesting, and we need to be paying more attention. In fact, it's been very common historically for primitive peoples, people that don't have Google to look stuff up, to use pharmacognosy and zoopharmacognosy to learn what medicines to take. Native Americans, Asians, Africans, probably everybody in the good old days used to watch the animals and see what plants they were eating when they were having specific needs, and they put two and two together, because we have brains that can put two and two together, right? But the animal doesn't. The animal is instinctively drawn to those plants. And as they get relief, they'll put two and two together. But they're not talking to each other, and they're not reading it on Google. You know what I mean? They have an instinctive attraction to that plant. Just like we were talking about the dogs earlier, eating the grass, right? Got a bellyache? I want to eat some grass, right? I don't know why, but I want to. And I guess the take-home message for that is that we still, as mammals and primates and humans, right, we're still blessed with all those same instincts if we would just listen. And so my advice is pay attention and listen to your body. I always say that there's three voices that a good herbalist ought to listen to. He ought to listen to his own body, he ought to listen to the plants, and he ought to listen to the God that made the plants. And if you listen to those guys, you'll learn important things, right? So listen to those attractions and affinities that you have for herbs or for foods, but especially for herbs. I've found in my practice, just as an example, okay, that valerian is a plant, the root's the medicine, and it's this beautiful plant, and the flowers are beautiful, and they have this beautiful, beautiful fragrance. But the roots really stink. They smell like dirty socks, right? And we can't hold that against the valerian, right? That happens with lots of pretty ladies. They're pretty and they smell good, but their socks aren't that great, right? But anyway, the valerian roots really have a strong odor and flavor. And I have found in my practice, and so what's valerian for? Well, it's for anxiety, it's for depression, it's for pain, it's for insomnia. It's good for a lot of brain stuff, okay? Nervous system stuff. But anyway, I have found, people come to me with insomnia, and if they smell the valerian, they'll have one of two reactions. They'll either say, "Wow, that's awful," or they'll say, "Oh, I kind of like that," right? And I've found that the people that have a really strong aversion to the odor of valerian, it doesn't work on them. But the people that kind of liked it and didn't have an aversion to it, it works really well. See? There's herbs that I have a strong aversion to. Like I walk into a room with black cohosh in it, and I can hardly stand it, right? Well, why is that? Well, I would guess it's because my body thinks I got enough estrogen in it, right? Anyway, my body doesn't want black cohosh. But by the same token, I have, I was a dairy vet for a couple of decades, and I spent my whole life standing on concrete and getting the bejeebers kicked out of my knees. And so I got, some joint pain in my knees and my hips sometimes. A lot of miles on those guys, right? And I make a formula called joint support, which doesn't taste that great, okay? Because the herbs in there can't help it. They're just not that tasty. And I take that occasionally, and it's not that great, but it makes me feel way better. But here this last weekend, we moved, and I was just tore up. I mean, I was really sore. I could hardly stand up out of the chair. My hips and knees were so sore from carrying heavy things all day. And my daughter says, hey, take some joint support, right? So I hobbled over to the counter and I took some joint support, and it tasted really good, which is physically almost impossible, okay? But but it tasted really good, and I took it several times that day, and I felt fantastic, right? But it's just another example of the body telling you, yeah, that's one you want, okay? And so if there are herbs that you have a strong affinity for, take them. If there are herbs that you have a strong aversion to, don't take them. You know, that's probably one of the strong influences on muscle testing, is your body just saying, oh, you know, I don't like that one, or whoa, I really do like that one. And so I'm sure that's an element in that process too, and that's a whole nother video and discussion. I'm Dr. Patrick Jones. Listen to your body. It's trying to tell you important things. And if you do, I think you'll feel better. If you'd like to learn more about this, like I said, I wrote an article on it on homegrownherbalist.net. Go read the blog article. If you want to learn more about herbs in general, don't go down and click that subscribe button. And we would be really grateful if you clicked the like button and if you told your friends about it. You know, we're trying to do some work here, and what I'm really trying to do as an herbalist is work myself out of a job by training all you guys how to do this stuff so I can retire, okay? So, Dr. Patrick Jones, we really appreciate your support. Have a great day.